Hey guys, sometimes crazy here, but with another Krunker Science video, and today I'll be talking about the logistics of Krunkitis and how it's actually not all that it seems. So Krunkitis is a disease introduced recently into Krunker, and it's based on the outbreak of that thing I mentioned that I'm not allowed to say. You all know the virusy thing. Let's just call it Crown Candle as a placeholder. So Crown Candle in real life is technically curable, and most nations on Earth are working together on a cure. But as you saw in the title, Krunkitis is actually going to be impossible to fully cure, if cure at all. And this is all down to one thing, and that's the fact that the skin tone of an infected Krunker guy changes to pale green. And I know it seems insignificant, like it's just to show someone has it or whatever. And shouldn't I be focusing on like the coughs and splutters or the transmissions of Krunkitis? Well, to put it simply, not really. I feel like a lot of people focus on the coughs and like compare it too frequently to like a cold, which is essentially incurable, although it's relatively harmless. But coughs and splutters are obviously not specific to the common cold. And the transmission of knifing is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, even if the knife itself is what infects players and not the inevitable contact of person to person when you're trying to knife someone, the knife could just be like coated in the germ or something like that. But I'll come back to that later, because for the time being, I'm going to be talking about the skin tone. So, the change of skin tone via an infectious virus is, well, it's kind of unheard of. Skin tone changing from an infectious disease has never really happened. Not at least ones that would affect the pigment, which is what it looks like is happening here. So you've got rashes and inflammation when you have a disease, or even if you just get a cut, but that's the rush of blood, which is rich in white blood cells, rushing to the infected areas to try and heal you. And the skin tone change there isn't permanent and goes away quite quickly. For an extended change of skin tone, this would have to come about as a result of a pigment effect or something similar, but these are known as hyperpigmentation disorders, and that's just exactly what they are. They're disorders, as in they're developed from birth. They're not contagious. But as I mentioned, there is actually one other way, and that's when you have alcoholic kidney disease, and that changes your skin to grey or yellow colour. You see there's jokes in Family Guy, stuff like that, where they turn completely yellow because they've drunk too much, but that's actually not alcoholic kidney disease, which changes the skin tone, but it's a further condition contracted from alcohol kidney disease called jaundice. Now, jaundice can be contracted in many ways, most due to conditions or developmental diseases, but there is an exception, which is one disease which most people watching would have heard of, and that's called hepatitis. Now, there's 7 types of hepatitis. You've got A, B, C, D, E, alcoholism hepatitis, and autoimmune hepatitis. We're most interested in hepatitis C, but not for the reason you're all thinking of, you dirty people. No, in fact, the reason we're focusing on hepatitis C is that it shares all the symptoms of Krunkitis, unlike Crown Candle, which has a likeness, but it isn't the same. I decided to get back to the point of it spreading by human contact or by a coated knife, and from here we can determine it's the knife itself that is the problem. Sliding around a map and hitting other players doesn't infect you with Krunkitis, but according to Crown Candle, it should. But according to hepatitis C, it's contracted by blood-to-blood contact, and I don't know about you, but I'm not sure Krunker guy cleans his knife too often. Furthermore, the main symptom of hepatitis C is flu-like symptoms, which a lot of people assume they just have the flu when they really have hepatitis. And it's the same story here. People think that it's Crown Candle because it's got the flu-like symptoms which it shares, but it's not. You're underestimating it. So, with one similar symptom, people assume that Krunkitis is a strain of, or just renamed Crown Candle, but it isn't. It's been recognised incorrectly from the beginning. And finally, the skin tone, obviously just coming full circle. We see that if untreated, hepatitis C would lead to liver failure and jaundice, which is the discoloration of the skin due to a buildup of a yellow-like substance called bilirubin. I'll put it on screen. This substance is usually filtered out by the liver, but due to the liver failure, it's sent all over the body, and the skin becomes a pale yellow, which is not far off the pale green displayed by Krunkitis. In fact, if the Earth spins slower and humans are shorter, then what's to say bilirubin isn't slightly different colour in Krunker? But that's not the worst of it all. because crown candle has been known about for a couple of months and people are getting over it, cures are being worked on, and everyone generally is being very careful about it. Hepatitis C has been known about for over 30 years. It was officially recognised in 1989. It still has no cure. This means that Krunkitis in reality is going nowhere. Those who are infected can expect a low chance to get over Krunkitis, as around only 1 in 4 people that get hepatitis C actually get over it. But most likely it's actually too late, because by the time liver failure sets in, and therefore by the time they get jaundice, which is the green coloration we talked about, a person has gone past the 1 in 4 stage and have actually developed chronic cirrhosis. I'll put that on the screen as well, don't know if I'm saying it right, which is what causes liver failure later in life. That brings me to my final point. Hepatitis C is slow. Krunkitis isn't. Hepatitis C is a slow rate, with jaundice due to liver failure occurring years after a person has contracted the disease. The fact that jaundice appears almost immediately after infection of Krunkitis shows that it's a much more violent strain of hepatitis C, one that would be very difficult to contain. That's exactly what the Krunker devs were going for with this. If you see any of it, if you go onto the Krunker hub and click their little green thing, it'll tell you this is showing how quickly a disease can spread. But I think it's also showing something else. It's showing how people jump to conclusions way too easily. I found this all out within, I don't know, about 30 minutes of research, and this lines up much better than thinking that crown candle is what is causing Krunkitis, or like a form of it. But, you know, in conclusion, Krunkitis, it just isn't crown candle, but in fact it's a particularly aggressive strain of hepatitis C, and therefore it has no antidote and a high death rate. So better stay uninfected. Right, thanks for watching the video, guys. My mic might sound a bit weirder. I've changed some settings on it, so tell me if you prefer it or not. I've also switched off my fan that was in the background, which I think made the sound a bit softer than this is now, because I'm in a silent room. But yeah, thank you guys for watching the video. I really enjoyed making this video. I really think it's probably one of my most seated in science videos I've made so far, because everything correlates perfectly between real life and what's happening in Krunker right now. I think I said this before, not sure if I mentioned it, but I have hit 300 subscribers in between last video and this video. Actually, I think I just hit it when I released my last video. So I just want to thank you guys so much for that. Really happy that you guys watch my videos. I know that they're not the most conventional Krunker topic. They're not like top 10 awesome skins on box this week, or funny streamer moments or whatever like that. You know, it's not exactly the most mainstream sort of thing to be watching, and I thank you guys for sticking out with it. I'm really happy for all the support. Got some really really interesting comments actually. I'll bring up one from my last video right now. It's a comment from another YouTuber called Trident, who you guys should totally check out, and he raised a funny point. It actually made me laugh quite a bit, and it's on my Krunker Science episode 3, the theoretical location of Krunker, and he commented that, so Krunker is apparently on a different planet where everyone is cubic and short. The government pays people to kill each other, and the more people they kill, the more money they get, and they're paid in a currency of KR, which is about $100 according to my science videos. And yeah, that's about right. I mean, thinking about it, it's quite weird. Everything, like, if you put everything together that I've proposed, it makes quite a weird sounding universe. But yeah, again, really thank you guys for all the support. I'll continue to make these videos as much as I can, as much as I've got topics, stuff like that. And I hope to see you guys in my next video. So yeah, I get to see ya.